Hey guys, in this video, I'm going to be going over how to gear up your alts really quickly. You can see here, I actually got this character to 60 very recently, only played him a few days, and I was able to get him to item level 183, and I haven't even made my legendary yet. Got my character up to a level to where I can solo Torghast, I can queue into arenas or battlegrounds and be strong. I can enter normal raids, and I can start doing M+. So basically, I've gotten my character strong enough that I can start doing the endgame content I want to do really quickly. So I'm going to be going over how you can do that as well, and the best way to gear up your character really fast. So the first thing that you should do when you hit 60 is knock out your campaign. That's really the thing you want to do. And at the very least, get to the anima quest, because everything that I'm going to explain beyond that, you can end up getting anima. And you want to make sure that you have your quest to get 1,000 anima with your Covenant Sanctum before you start doing other forms of content, because you might end up delaying the completion of that quest if you do a bunch of content, get a bunch of anima, and then, do your campaign and then unlock the quest later. So make sure you get your quest to get 1,000 anima for your Sanctum. That's a weekly quest that you're going to get every week. But when you first hit 60, you're going to have to do some quests to get to that point. So do the campaign. Now, while you're doing the campaign, you're going to be unlocking gear. And I'll show you the item upgrader, but in case you didn't realize, I didn't actually notice this at first. The reason why the gear you get from the campaign says rank 1 of 7 is there's actually an upgrade in your Covenant Sanctum that you can upgrade the gear to the different ranks. So as you are progressing the campaign, they're going to give you rewards based on how far you are in the campaign. So for example, I think this back was one of the first pieces I got when doing the campaign, and it started at 155. However, the wrists were 164 because I got them a little later in the campaign, and the shoulders are one of the most recent items I got in the campaign, and they were already 171. So you're not going to have to upgrade every single piece. All of the pieces are at the vendor in case you somehow missed them, lost them. You can always item restore too, but the set is at the vendor for you to pick up as well. And you can see different items are available at different times based on your covenant as well. So that's one thing to mention. If you are Venthyr, as of this week, the helmet is actually available, but as a Kyrian, it is not. So just keep that in mind, that different items are going to be available for different covenants, but as of time of recording, 6 are out, and looks like next week when chapter 6 comes out, you should be able to get the 7th item, and then it looks like it's going to be 1 each week, so a couple weeks after that, the full set will be unlocked. And you can see here, it looks like it goes up all the way to 190, and you can probably upgrade it one more time, so maybe it'll be like something like 195. At the early ranks, the items go up 9 item levels per upgrade rank. However, at the later levels, it slows down a little bit. You can see from rank 3 to rank 4, it only goes up 6. And then from rank 4 to rank 5, it goes up 7. And then 6 again. So it's probably going to be 197, 196, something like that at final rank. And to upgrade the gear, you just go to the armor dude. You stick in the item for the upgrader, and it costs anima. And it's 50. And it increases by 50 for each tier. So this is a rank 1 item. It costs 50 to upgrade it. If I were to slot in a rank 2 item, it's going to cost 100. And if I put a rank 3 item, it's going to cost 150 anima. But don't feel too bad about spending the anima. You're going to get a ton of it. You have to get 1,000 each week anyway. And it's mainly spent on stuff like cosmetics. So don't worry about spending the anima. This is a great way to gear up by doing the campaign. So these are all items that you're going to get by doing the Covenant campaign. But as you're doing the main story campaign, bridging into the Covenant campaign, you're also going to get this Drape of Inscrutable Purpose. This comes from a quest called Explore Torghast, and you're able to get a nice 171 cloak really easily. There's also another quest called The Search for Bane that gives you a neck that's 161. So if you hit 60 and just do the campaign, as of right now, you're going to get 6 pieces of 171 gear once you upgrade it. But as you're watching this video, if more weeks have passed, you're going to be able to get more and more gear. So that's a great foundation. You also get the cloak, you also get the neck. So that's why I really recommend starting with that. That way you don't do what I did and, for example, waste honor upgrading a cloak that you don't actually need to upgrade. I didn't need to upgrade this cloak to 171 because, I could have just done the quest and gotten a 171 cloak. But at the time, I was like, man, my cloak is really bad. I wanna use my honor on something. And so I wasted some honor. So that's why I really recommend save the gold you're going to spend on BOEs, save your honor that you're going to spend on PvP gear until after you have done the campaign stuff. So this is your first base foundation. After this, I would recommend doing the world boss. And the only reason we've waited this long to do the world boss is just to make sure you have your quest for the 1000 anima, because the world boss gives you 250 anima for completing them. So that's why I would recommend, you can do the world boss ASAP. Just make sure you have the 1000 anima quest first. After that, it's time to do Mythic Zero. But first, make sure you check the weekend event quest. And that's going to be right next to the Great Vault in Oribos, which is, for those of you not super familiar with the layout, it's going to be in the Hall of Holding right over here. Now there's also quests. If you go into the inn area and go down the stairs, there's also quests for dungeons. I would recommend snagging those too to help you get to that 1000 anima quest, because you do need to complete that 1000 anima quest to progress the campaign. So just keep that in mind. So once you've picked up those quests, there's also PvP quests over in the Enclave, right about there. There are PvP quests that are like weekly quests you can do to get a bunch of honor as well. Those are important to pick up if you want to do PvP to help gear up as well. So once you've done that, it's time to do Mythic Zeros. You've got your 171 gear, you've got your cloak, you've got your neck. Now this is where I would recommend potentially trying to fill in some of the gaps in your gear. Now, there's a few different quests that reward good weapons. Now, the weapon item level is usually like 146 or something if it's blue, but it can also upgrade like mine did to epic to 158. And I think this is another weapon. Actually, both of them got upgraded to 158, but I got this weapon for completing my, I think it was Night Fae. I did the Threads of Fate. I completed I helped Night Fae and they gave me the weapon. So if you're leveling with Threads of Fate, or even if you're leveling through the campaign, try and keep an eye out for potentially quests that reward blue weapons, and maybe try and hold off turning those in until you either are like 59 or 60 so that you can get a weapon, because they can be kind of hard to get. Alternatively, I'll put a link in the description because it's kind of confusing. If you are using a two-hander, there is this item called Sorrowbane that you can get outside the Theater of Pain. It's like a little Easter egg where you have to like be really strong to pull this sword like out of the ground or something. But then you get an item level 180 two-handed sword. So I'll leave a link in the description below if you want to do that. Keep in mind that certain like world quests have to be up, and it's kind of situational. It's not something that you're always going to be able to get, but it is something worth checking to see if it's up to get a really easy 180 weapon. But generally speaking, it's going to be kind of hard to get a good early weapon, and I'd recommend trying to go into your Mythic Zeros with either a 146 weapon from just doing a blue quest, or at the very least get like, a higher item level green that's like, closer to item level 59 or 60. That might be around like 140 or something. Just get something serviceable, and then through Mythic Zeros try and get an item drop. Worst case scenario, you can always do some PvP to get a weapon and start upgrading that after you've done your Mythic Zeros. Now, this is the point where you're preparing for the Mythic Zeros that I'd recommend filling in any major gaps in your gear so you can get a weapon, like a 146 weapon from a quest. I would go to the auction house. There's all these 151 BOE items that are very cheap. There's upgraded versions that are like 71 that are much more expensive. You don't have to get those. There's much cheaper options. These are like, some of these items are like 200 gold each, very cheap. So snag them if you have any huge holes in your gear. That way you are a little bit stronger to do the M0 dungeons. Now beyond that, the last thing I can recommend for the M0 dungeons, try and do the weekend event like I mentioned from the vault. You might want to do that before you do your M0s, depending on what the quest is. This week, the quest is to do Mythic Zeros, and it gives a heroic raid piece. So depending on week to week, it might not always be this strong of a reward. But I do think every week, if you do the weekend event, you're probably going to get something around this level. So from my chest, I got a 213 trinket, which is really nice. So the weekend event can be a really big source of guaranteed item upgrades. So make sure to do that as well. And like I said, I bought a few pieces for M0s just to be a little bit stronger, but you don't have to do this, especially if you're playing with friends or something. But I was tanking, so I wanted to be a little bit stronger, make sure we had smooth runs. And this goes into my last tip. I'm sure many of you guys know this, to stack armor types, but I'd really recommend forming your own group and doing this, especially when you're a fresh character, because almost everything's an upgrade. Going into M0s, the only thing that would not have been an upgrade slot was the one ring that I got from the world boss. Every other item on my character could have been upgraded in M0. So that means, if I have other plate wearers in the dungeon that don't really need as much gear, anything they don't need goes to me. So I actually have only done 6 M0 dungeons. And I think I counted earlier, I got something like 12 purples. And I even have some extra rings and trinkets now because I stacked the group so that it was all male users, right? And I wanted to have, all plate users. And it's really important that they're higher item level than you by quite a bit. I'd recommend looking for people that are over 185 item level, meaning most of their gear is going to be like the 184 level quality. And the reason you can do this is because, obviously if they don't need the piece, they can just give it to you. And if you're forming the group, especially if you're tanking or healing, you have plenty of DPS to choose from. So at the very least, I would try and plate stack with 3 high level DPS if you can. In the healer, you might have to settle for something else. Like as a plate wearer, I'm not going to get a paladin healer every time. That's fine. The only thing I'll mention about the stack, make sure you don't invite any low-level plate wearers. They have to be high. It's better to invite someone else who's high item level. Like I could have invited a really high item level warlock, and they could have potentially traded rings and cloak and neck if they don't want it. But do not invite a low item level plate user because they're going to want all of the gear that you want. And so that's going to be another person that is likely not going to trade you anything because they're going to equip it. And they're also going to, want to roll on the items that the other plate wearers don't need. Now, I realize I hate the system. I think it's dumb. I think armor stacking is dumb. I think it sucks that I'm not inviting people based on class composition and all this, based on how the group will succeed, and I'm being picky and trying to invite really high item level people. But it's the way the game works. It's how it's designed. This is how you gear up really fast. So like I said, most of my groups had a lot of plate wearers. I got 12 items, 6 runs. I think I got 2 rings traded to me. I got a pair of wrists traded to me. I got a chest traded to me. And I think I got maybe a pair of boots, something else. I got quite a few items traded to me because they did not need them. And, I was able to gear up really quick. So that's how I geared up really fast. Now my character can do whatever he wants. I'm going to go get my legendary made. That's going to increase my item level even more. So after you've done M0, I'd recommend, trying to figure out what legendary you want, making that. That's going to be another item level boost. And then if you did do any PvP, at this point, I would spend it once you're done with M0 for the week, once you've kind of got an idea of what items you have. So for example, I went and upgraded a helmet to 184 because I had just an auction house item. So this is the point where I'm like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and upgrade my helmet. And you can see if I was too hasty with upgrading my pieces, I maybe would have upgraded a cloak or a chest or wrist or even made a weapon. All of these things that I got from M0 would have been kind of wasted if I would have invested my honor in them. So that's why you hold off. So that's all I have. If you guys have any suggestions on how to gear up quickly, let me know. Put them in the description below. But for now, that's all I got, and thanks for watching.